Hey everybody, Jake Reichbart here. Today I'm going to share with you a lengthy lesson excerpt. So have your guitars ready and we're going to have some fun together arranging a song. Perhaps you've seen some of my many hundreds of solo guitar arrangements I have here on YouTube, and the inspiration for these arrangements is right here behind me, as you can see. I grew up with these vinyls, and I draw pretty much from any kind of style imaginable from the pop music of the past 100 years, everything from Glenn Miller to Van Halen, Alan Holdsworth to Motown, and pretty much anything in between. Beatles, I have perhaps 25 Beatles song arrangements, 20 Steely Dan song arrangements, same for Stevie Wonder, rock, hard rock, Deep Purple, Led Zeppelin, and of course tons and tons of classic jazz standards from the 40s and 50s, bebop, dance tunes, movie themes. And if you want to learn how to arrange any of these songs for solo guitar, I can teach you. Just like the excerpt that you're about to watch, which comes from a lesson that runs about 90 minutes, I have nearly 200 additional titles, and they are mostly song specific. I enjoy teaching through specific songs because I can show you hands-on how I approach arranging a song. What's nice about these lessons is that I don't just tell you, do this and you're done, but rather I'll take you through 3 or 4 or 5 different ways to play the same passage. I'll work with you on dynamics, on articulation, and 100 other things that you cannot just put to paper. As I mentioned, these lessons run approximately 90 minutes. The introduction, which runs usually 15 minutes, focuses on the right hand and rhythm, and in this introduction I go through my 3 pillars of rhythmic arranging, the first principle being melody and bass only, the second being rhythmic arpeggiation, and the third, of course, the down stroke that I play with my right hand fingernails to produce that backbeat that everybody asks me about. Nevertheless, I do have 2 main method lessons. The first one, how to arrange any song for solo guitar, running 2 hours, and also an introduction to fingerstyle guitar and solo guitar arranging, running 2 hours and 40 minutes. The information about these lessons, the cost, my full lesson list, as well as a link to the full performance of the song that we're working on today is below in the information. So expand the information, take a look, and let's get started. In my approach to improvising in solo guitar, I really bring to the table everything I got, which is not a lot of one thing, but a little bit of a lot of things. So for example, scale-wise, people talk about scales. I really don't pay attention much to scales. I really much prefer to talk about phrasing. Yes, every chord has notes that fit with it and notes that don't, and those are the colors that you use, but I don't really practice. I used to, definitely for dexterity, and I'm not knocking it or anything. I can play scales and I can play, numerical exercises. This was 1, 2, 3, 1. And in different positions. Anyway, not to get distracted, the point is that is great to do for dexterity and speed and accuracy, which I still have a ways to go. But when playing, it's all about phrasing, playing good phrases. And to do so, I find these scale runs don't work for me in particular. What does work for me is an approach that is not very musically deep, perhaps, but practically it really works. And I oftentimes, if not most of the time, gravitate towards little islands along the neck. So I have a lot of F, let's say F major 7 or F, tonal center F. I have a lot of islands, like places where I can play the chord, and out of those little islands I can take little walks. So here's this, or this island. So all of these, and of course they can connect. So they're kind of born out of the little region where I'm playing. And I like to play phrases that are greatly influenced by classic bebop. That's my personal preference. I don't have that really modern sound that a lot of guys play these days. So I guess I'm a dinosaur by comparison. I kind of gravitate toward the classic Joe Pass type phrasing. I think it's an endless ocean to draw from. So let's talk about F. Now, the tune goes right away from F to that A half diminished, but I'm going to stay on F for a while just to show you what I mean by phrasing. So, that's bebop phrasing to me. A lot of approach note, a lot of passing tones. So this is my target note. That's the 5, that's the 6. So I walk through this note. Do nothing till you hear from me. It's a melody of that song. And that's the approach note right there. So a lot of chromaticism, but you have to aim to get to a good note at the right moment. What is a good note? A good note is a note that declares that you know in your playing what the new harmony is. For example, when we play this chord, up until this point we would be playing an E. When you play this note, you kind of declare that you have arrived at this chord, or this chord. This B now is the 3 of G7. So I like to play the 3 note a lot on chords, the third of the chords. Or I should say the third in the scale for each chord. So another hallmark type thing. An 8th note followed by a triplet. It's very bebop to me. That's for the A half diminished. And here's another one for the D flat 7 flat 9. So for each chord you can come up with this little phrase that's like an 8th and a triplet. So I like to play triplets, even in improvisation, because we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can do that with the fingers, and with 3 notes per string, you can do these figures. That kind of thing. So sometimes I like to mix that in. They're not very organized, as you can see. They're not really planned out. It's just my way. So that's about single note phrasing a little bit. I like to play phrases. I gravitate towards little islands. Of course, I also play fuller chords. I play intervals. So there were a couple of things here. First of all, parallel thirds. parallel 6. And then you can do, or other parallel 4ths, which is a strange sound, but parallel diatonic 5ths. But another technique is keeping one note and playing another line against it, so the interval changes. Like right here. And you can do that from anywhere. And from any note. And in any direction. And so on. So intervals, and of course, any combination thereof. I already elaborated some on some of the bass movements that I do. And I touched very gently, I do this on other lessons as well, chord substitutions, the tritone substitutions, secondary dominants. Those are the tools in my arsenal that enable me to do improvisation. So what I'm going to do now is break into some improvisation, and I'll stop now and then if I find something interesting to talk about, which is probably not going to be much, but... So this little thing was fuller chords. So in this case, I kind of skipped over the A. I went straight for the G. This is a case where I put down a bass note and play a line around it. Okay. Right here was a very important spot. When I played that E flat, that was the exact moment when the chord changed to C minor to be the 2/5 of B flat. So again. And I like to go up here. Another element that comes to mind is the blues. We haven't talked about blues at all, but I squeeze it in whenever possible for change of color. So the chord chart says F major 7. We can play it as a 7. So blues is an example. And okay, let's play some more. And again, I'll try to make a stop here and there if I find something interesting to talk about. Right there. I go for that 3 so instinctively now, and it's just in my blood, in my bones. F major 7, and I play this note, the F sharp, which is the 3 of D7. If I wanted to make this a G minor, I'll play it like this. If I wanted to make it a G7, I'll play it like this. Stop right there, because as I was playing a line earlier, I realized that I kind of lost my spot harmonically. You didn't know anything. You wouldn't have known anything. I just okay, I just go with the line. The most important thing that goes on in my head is the form. I always have the meter running, and it tells me where I am in the form. So if I played something and it didn't work out, it's okay, play something and then land in at the spot where you do know what's going on. So again, let's take it from the top and see if I can simulate the effect. Can't simulate it, can't make a mistake on purpose, I guess. But right here, I played this E flat, again, to signify the C minor 7. What I'm doing here is something I'll typically do. I'll play a chorus or two, and then I'll change things, and I might find myself playing just walking bass with chords, like just an accompaniment with no melody. With just once in a while, I'll squeeze in a little bit melody, and I'll typically do this over the first half, the first A section, as it were, and then go into the melody the second time. So I just came out of something complicated. Starting to walk. And I finished the melody. And slow. And I want to talk about a little bit about the walking bass, because I added an element that I didn't discuss, and that's a little bit of a backbeat. And I have a unique way to do it when I play walking bass. So I'll play the 1, and on the 2, I'll kind of hit the strings with a thumb a little bit. Might even use my first finger there. And then sometimes I'll even mute the bass a little bit with my palm to give it that more of a thumping, upright bass tone in my imagination. Anyway, so those are the elements that I use in this improvisation.